Greetings Internet, it's Alex and Louis from Barefaced.
Hello.
And we are here with, down here, a quad Cortex, just here, a Barefaced Activier Reality. So that is one of these. It's a 1x12 coax FRFR cab with its own power amp module and preamp that adjusts level and mates with whatever things you have impedance wise. Rear firing tweeter and rear firing AVD, which gives you quasi omnidirectional output that fills the room, the stage, the venue with the sound that you want. Here we have an Activier reformer, so that's same module powering it in the back, but it's got a conventional guitar speaker of your choice in the front. So V30 is our stock one, V30 in here, but this one has a G1265 Heritage, which is your speaker of choice.
Indeed.
So we also have an amusing microphone, an SM7B, so I'll do a bit of wandering around with this, so we'll tell you when we're on this. We're also recording with a JM47 large diaphragm condenser down here, which is about 6 feet from the cabs, roughly on axis with the pair of them. Well, maybe 10 degrees off axis, something like that. So it's not getting too much of the dust cap sound, but that's that. And up here, just out of shot, we've got the Barefaced PA speakers. They're not a production item, but they've got Vital 8-inch Neo drivers crossed over to the same horn compression driver assembly that we use in the Big Twin 3 and Big Baby 3, which is really great. And they're actually running off these Hypex biamp modules, so 1600 watts actually, each of those is, technically, in the pair. So that's all biamped, and we've got a DSP crossover. So you've used them in rehearsals, I've used them in rehearsals.
Yep.
They're very clean and accurate.
They are, yeah.
So they work really well. So what we're going to do, and we've got the mic on the cameras if we need another opinion, and we're also running a DI, from the quad Cortex.
It's essentially to emulate like a gig, what you're going to have on stage, whether that's reality, full range driver, or a conventional guitar driver, what's going to go to front of house, and then what DI I guess you'd get at home, or just compare all the different sounds. Really, that's why we've got it hooked up to so many things, right? Now
we started this video yesterday.
Yeah.
It was all a bit weird, and I'd managed to select the wrong inputs on the laptop on Logic, so we failed to actually record any sound. Is it recording sound now? Yes, it is. And what was interesting yesterday was the reformer and the reality with the IR sounded quite dissimilar.
Yeah, they really did. But the IR we're using in the reality is the Celestion G1265 Heritage one, which is what we've got in this cab, so they should, sound the same.
But what we found was that Celestion have must be 20 or 30 different G1265 Heritage IRs, which are used with different mics in different positions in the room.
Yeah.
And if you've done any sound engineering, you will know that the very minutiae of where you point a microphone at a speaker massively changes its sound.
Yeah.
And when you're playing guitar, you're not listening to it that close. So we went through looking for an IR, which actually was a more realistic IR for what the speaker sounds like in the room if it's then put through speakers like we have here, so the FRFR Reality or the PA speakers.
Yeah.
And we went round, so this is what we did today, and then compared with headphones, and had a very satisfying moment near the end when I was putting the headphones on, taking the headphones off, we were listening to the Reality, and the headphones weren't turned up as loud as the cab, and it just sounded like I'd put some ear defenders on. It just was almost
the same.
So, hopefully you will get to appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a balance. It took us some time.
Yeah.
But
so it does seem, which, that's the goal of this design, is that you have a cab where you can set up your patches.
Yep.
With that at home, take it to the gig. It will match what's going out through the PA.
Yeah.
Within the realms of variances in PA.
There's a different system and speaker to this. It will be it'll be different, but
I mean, if
your engineer's good, you should.
Yeah, and if everything out there that was FRFR was exactly the same, then there will be no reason for people to buy very expensive studio monitors or very expensive PA speakers. It's not just about going louder; it's they get more accurate. But this is seemingly very accurate in the realms of what's happening in reality. Now, the other thing This is where it gets really weird. Polar response.
Yeah, I didn't understand this earlier. I think
Yeah.
we're getting there.
So where you stand changes the sound massively.
But
So
I get-
you hear the sound that's direct from the speaker to your ear, and you also hear the reverberant sound. That all sort of sums together. But guitar speakers are very directional. The G1265 Heritage is more directional than some because it's a large dust cap design. That tends to make them more directional by stiffening the cone. So
Yeah.
it flex as much, and you don't get the mids and highs coming from such a small area, which helps them disperse.
That makes sense.
So, with the SM7B, I shall do a bit of wandering around, and we'll switch to that for your channel that you're hearing through the YouTube, and hopefully you can hear the difference in tone, because we noticed some radical changes depending on where we were.
Yeah.
So if you find that the IR through the reality or the PA doesn't match what you're hearing out of the actual speaker,
Yeah.
it's because you're in a different place.
Yeah. I have that on an amp stand when I gig with it, and it's kind of aiming up towards me a little bit to get that. So there's all different kind of things. you
So
can
many
do,
variables.
depending on the size of the stage and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Shall we make some noise?
play some guitar. Got this to tell us what we're going through. Obviously when it switches to DI, we'll just switch it on your bit, but not on our bit.
We won't hear a change. I guess.
What are we starting on?
Shall we just go reality, reformer,
Yeah.
PA, DI?
Yeah.
Should we just keep it in that order?
Yeah.
So nothing gets too confusing.
Well, I can read them from there.
You can.
It's very useful. The Quad Cortex actually says what it's doing.
Yeah, if you set it up right. It's taking me ages. Okay, reality. Clean first, as always. Reformer. P8. Okay, do some more chordy stuff, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. And you don't need to stop and say, because I'm turning this.
Indeed.
Just keep playing and hit it like your mid gig.
Brilliant, alright.
If you can switch mid chord or anything like that, that helps because you
Yeah.
hear the sound. I know it's unintuitive
You
to
did,
switch in
yeah.
the middle of a phrase, but it really does help. That's what I try to do when I'm switching them.
Okay, cool. That's really hard to do.
Isn't it? I'm just turning fast.
I can't get over how good we've got these, how close we've got them sounding.
Yeah. And that is, we've not got anything else going on, have we? It's literally,
Just a bit of reverb, but...
yeah, but you're not changing anything else in the signal chain. All it is the reformer doesn't have the IR,
Yeah.
and the reality and the PA have the IR, and they're all the same IRs,
Yeah, yes, they're all
and
the
there's
same.
no extra EQ.
No, that's what I was tempted to do earlier, because I've heard this, EQ, people say you should EQ going to front of house compared to this, and I was going to do it, Alex was like, no, just get the right IR. So we kept going through, and like I said, it's all the same Celestian pack of the 65 Heritage IR, but all the different mics and positions that they've got, and we just found one that did it, right?
And interesting, when we went through the PA, and you're probably thinking, actually, what's the... No, the PA's EQ set
It's flat, isn't it? Yeah.
But I did notice we did some tweaking of the PA EQ, and literally just turning it just away from the centre detent on the treble and the mids.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So we're talking half a dB, 1 dB change.
Yeah.
It's really obvious with guitar. It's quite shocking how tiny changes in level and EQ through the kind of upper harmonic region of a guitar. It's a vast difference.
Yeah.
But it does mean that if your PA's sound is not slightly exactly matching
Uh-huh.
what you're getting on stage, it's easily adjusted at the desk
Yeah, yeah,
to
totally.
a tolerable state, you know, because this is live, you know.
Yeah, and it's a different world, isn't it? Because engineers sitting you in the mix,
Yeah.
which you might not be thinking about when you're at your tone.
You definitely want more clarity on stage.
Yeah.
As long as it's not harsh.
I don't think the sound on stage is ever the same as it is out front, right? Mixes wouldn't work if they were. Should we do some drive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't switch so fast this time because I was
Okay.
getting confused.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'll do one at a time again for a bit. Did you do one for DI?
I didn't. Go through them again and I'll... That was our DI one.
Cool, great. Well, that's not what that says. God, this
We
is difficult.
totally know what we're doing here. Here, let me get the mic that's not...
Yeah, let's move around.
It's here.
Which one do you want me on for that then? Which makes most sense to show
Let's just play play the reformer and I'll bring the mic in on and off axis and then
Yeah.
we'll do the same with the reality.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So we'll start with the mic up at me position.
Okay.
I'll try and stay in shot so you can see where the mic's going. That sort of thing was cool because that's got a lot of energy in it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll start there.
We'll switch to the reality now.
Cool.
It's really surreal here in these cabs because they have the output from the front and the output from the back. Normally when you get close to a guitar cab, open back cabs are much better for this. So open back cabs do tend to have the back output that then bounces off. But these really let the sound out the back.
Yeah.
And in most situations it bounces up and round. Now, with the reality, because we're aiming for FRFR, we have this difference in that in addition to the output from the rear of the cone, we've got this extra tweeter here which is crossed over lower, so it comes in where the cone rolls off once it's going through the AVD. And then we've got a level control here, so we've got two toggle switches which give us -3, -6 or -9 dB. And so here we've got it on -9, haven't we?
Yeah, the most off you can have it, but
And that's
still
basically
on.
because we've got a hard reflective wall short distance away.
Do you want to go putting them on and
Yeah,
I'll play just the same thing through just the reality and you can take it up and down and just, you don't have to change anything,
Yeah,
just to see what comes across on that mic. I'm sure it'll...
Yeah, well, we've got that mic there. We'll also hold this mic up here so you can hear more of the reflected bit and see if that picks it up.
That's where you hear it
So
most, isn't
flip
it?
between the two.
Okay.
So we're padded all the way. So starting on -9. Starting on -9. Pretty obvious from here.
Yeah, it makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
Really does for 9 dB.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot 9 dB.
Yeah.
But we're thinking, you know, if the rear wall's further away, if there's soft furnishings, if it's quite a dead room,
Yeah.
it could be that you sound check and you've got it on -9,
Yeah.
and then as the venue fills up,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you've got more background noise because people absorb sound because they're big soft things,
Yeah.
wearing clothes as well, you know, so there's a whole lot of sound absorption for people. They really do help with the sound in a room.
Oh, yeah.
But they also make a lot of noise.
Yes.
And there's a lot of kind of pink noise, there's a lot of high frequency stuff, enough people talking and moving and stuff.
Right, right.
So
that might
it's
help
not
cut
just the
through.
absorption, it's the masking.
Cool, I never thought of it like
Yeah.
that before. Yeah, yeah.
And also what you think's a good guitar sound now, then get someone sloshing some hi-hats,
Oh, God, yeah, and the mix sounds are so different. aren't
and
they?
suddenly you need a load more treble for any sparkle to come through that.
That's one of those things that's a bit like the low cut I have on my uprising traditional guitar cab.
Yeah.
I was like, I never need to use this until when I did. I was like, oh, thank God I've got this. It's completely saved my life. And that might be one of those things where you're like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad I've got this in my arsenal.
Right.
I asked you yesterday and you said this was something to talk about on video.
Right.
Might not be the time.
Okay, no, go ahead.
My question was, why not have that on the Reformer, the traditional guitar cab? And you were like, there's something to that, we'll talk about it on camera. But
Why not what?
have the rear firing tweeter.
Oh, the
in
rear firing
Reformer.
tweeter.
Why only for the FR?
Well, there isn't a front firing tweeter on the Reformer.
Even more reason to have it, no?
No, because guitar doesn't sound good with tweeters.
Right. Everything I'm setting up in here for the FR, I'm doing considering that the speaker has a tweeter going forward.
Yeah,
And when I
yeah.
dial in my amp, I'm not considering that because
It wouldn't be full range.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be full range, so...
I
Yeah.
don't want this to be full range, do I? The normal Reformer, my normal
No.
guitar
You,
cab, I don't-
if guitar sounded good
Yeah.
through FRFR speakers,
Yeah.
you wouldn't need IRs. Because the IR
Yeah. Yeah.
is just a simulation of the speaker done by putting a burst through and getting a graph of time and frequency and
Yeah.
level. That's it.
Yes. Yeah.
That's all it is. Whilst my bass rig, which is lurking over there, that's FRFR.
Yeah.
Really accurate.
Really
accurate. And my default bass sound is this here Stingray.
This here is Stingray.
This here Stingray. Straight through it. I turn the volume knob up, I leave the EQ flat on it,
And that's
I
that.
turn the amp up, that's my sound, and then if I need more sounds I stamp on pedals because then it goes in weird places. And even with pedals, I'll be putting fuzz and distortion through all that.
And I guess that's the consideration with guitar and the IR stuff, as we've said a million times when we're comparing drivers, is that guitar drivers, if you want to look at them from a scientific perspective, are kind of rubbish.
Yeah, they're terrible, but they sound good on guitar.
But they sound amazing.
Yeah.
So what you've got is something that's the complete opposite, that scientifically is you know, what you want to call it, amazing, I don't know, but then you're trying to add this guitar colour to it.
Yes.
It's a
Which
crazy
is why it
world.
comes back to when I was talking to Louis about why you would do this, and you have two contexts. You said that you would use the Activier with a Reformer or a different barefaced AVD cab, but with a conventional guitar speaker, versus using the Reality.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm on a gig where I know I'm going to have to go through loads of different sounds and tones, if I'm going to have to go from, you know, just to pick the big ones like a Brian May sound and then a Slash sound and a Nile Rodgers sound and a Steve Ray Vaughan thing and all these different things that famously use different drivers, and you'll need that. The flexibility of having the FR cab with a digital modeler means I can just go between that and it's going to get really, really accurate. Whereas with the Reformer, I'd use for the gigs with a traditional guitar driver where I can be a bit more myself and I'm just dialing in my sound because I'm not trying to emulate anyone else and I know what I like and that's cool. So I don't need the flexibility of the FRFR.
So in your so that's originals gigs? Or?
Originals gigs, the Casters gigs I do on a Wednesday, I'm sounding like me, like I'm getting my voice across there.
Right.
Even though it's a covers thing, I'm not like trying to go.
So although you might be playing covers as part of that and improv stuff.
We're not trying to get it accurate.
No, you're doing it your way.
Yeah,
you're doing it your way rather than being perfect tribute type thing
totally.
in a wedding band or whatever. You're just doing
jazz club.
Yeah.
Well, the thing we've learned, I think, today, and I've learned since working with these a lot more, is you have to spend the time dialing those in. To say you can get the Brian May sound and this sound and that sound and that sound, you have to sit with this and that and dial in the tones with different changes, and it takes ages. But when you get there, it's great. It's not like a guitar amp where you can just dial it in quick and play. No. You have to spend a bit of time. We spent a couple of hours this morning, didn't we, getting it in? So that's the trade-off.
Yeah,
that's the payoff. But different strokes.
But if you don't need to do that, if you don't need all the sounds, then you can simplify things.
Yep.
And just go with
pick your driver.
This one here is this is a stereo one. So this you've got a stereo rig lurking in the back of that.
That makes gigs basically really easy. It's the big plus of that is that you take your board with your digital modeler and that's what you have to rock up to your gig with. No head, no extra bits, you know.
And in that case, you could then say to the engineer, do you want to take a DI? In which case you'd do a DI with an IR that you've already figured out is an IR that matches that well.
That's what I do. I give them a DI and keep that on stage.
Do you ever mic that?
I did once and the engineer said he preferred the DI.
Oh, there you go.
So,
well, I guess there's less bleed, there's less to go wrong, isn't there?
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, I'm a big fan of DIing bass, which is why that works.
Yeah, totally.
The FRFR bass rig. Cool.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we do these with... The Reformer's our most popular guitar cab because it's kind of convenient sized, smallish 12. We can actually do a smaller 12 if you go with a Neo speaker. That will fit into what was traditionally our 10-inch enclosure. So over here,
it's a heavy one.
Yeah, this has got an EV driver in it. But yeah, you can have a Neo 12 in that little thing. Otherwise, you can have a 10 in that, and it will still fit the Activier in.
That's crazy.
And then also lurking around here, what have we got? We've got an upsizing down here, which is this big thing next to the Marshall 412 that we've got on loan. There's the upsizing. Upsizing here, so this is an oversized vertical 212, but will also fit a 15 in the bottom, or two 15s if you really want to go massive doom, sludge. Vertical 210 there, horizontal 210. Obviously we've got vertical 212s. Where's the vertical? Oh, there's things behind things.
Yeah, but we do loads of cabs.
They all fit the Activier module. That's the key. So you can, particularly if you want to go stereo, 2 110s is a good way to do it.
Yeah, totally.
Or you could do wet, dry, wet. So then you can have a mono one and then a stereo one with a slave.
Yeah.
Or you could have your valve head and one of our normal guitar cabs, an AVD guitar cab, but without an Activier,
like a normal
as
rig.
the centre of your rig, and then your stereo for convenience, rather than taking another 2 valve heads with you.
Just take the wet signal and put them into the active cabs.
Signal into the active cabs.
That's easy, isn't it?
That's convenient.
That's really.
And the final thing, which we will demo. Oh, I've got my head cut off on this. Yes. The final thing, which we will demonstrate, coming video, is you can actually have the Activier in a cab that you can use as a passive cab.
Yeah.
So, if like me, your house is not big enough for the amount of stuff that's in it, that's like most of us nowadays.
I was just going to say,
you don't see anyone my age and younger, unless they've worked in the city or won the lottery, is squeezed into a less than ideal space.
Yeah.
So we can sort you out with a cab that goes with your fantastic valve head, tube head that you know and love, and does a better job with that than whatever cab you had with it before.
Yeah.
I think I can say guarantee that. Can we guarantee that?
Yeah, I think so.
We've been selling these for 5 years, and almost universally everyone loves them. What we've been very bad at is sharing the love back that's come into us from our customers back out to the world, or persuading magazines and YouTubers and whatever to test them, because they, I don't know, they're in the pockets of big guitar power, big amp industry. But then if you've got something like this, yes, there we go, we can have a standard input plate on the back.
On the other side, you have a passive input.
So you can plug your amp in and just ignore that, and it's so light you won't notice the extra weight if you're taking that with you and you're not using it.
No.
But then if you want to leave your amp behind, say keep the amp in the studio, and then go and gig with the module, and then you go fully active, or it's your backup amp as well.
Yeah, I think the thing is as well to say about these is, like, that's all well and good. You can say, well, I've just got my board and I've got a little power amp on here, which will then I can go into my cab. These modules sound amazing. I've got into them just on their own, and when you crank them, it's a really, really good sounding power amp. It's not just a case of this will get me to the level to push my cab. It's a really good sounding power amp. No,
they're not cheap because we haven't cut any corners. You know, we've done the very best we possibly can. So tell us what you'd like to hear more of.
Yeah.
And we'll be back. And don't forget, we do also do bass things. That's how we started out. I'm a bassist. We've been doing bass gear for 15 years, doing guitar gear for 5 years. And we sort of go through phases of talking about different things.
Yeah.
So for Bass World, if any bassists have watched this much of a guitar video and got to the end, we're getting pretty close with the bass amps. So we might do a pre-order or something, because we've got to basically figure out parts ordering in large quantities and stuff like that. So going to be quite a lot of money going out, and got to figure out how much people want to buy them.
Yeah,
but they're going to be good. So there'll be a simple one and a more complicated one to start with. So don't bombard us with emails if you have got this far, but look out for a newsletter about it. Right, thank you. I've been Alex, and that's been Louis from Barefaced, and we will be back next time.